Hello, merhaba, zdravo, dobro jutro, günaydın, dobar dan, dobro večer, iyi akşamlar. This is Babylon Balkan Show, and we are here with another episode. Hello, Dushan. How are you? How is everything?
He- Hello, Onat. Just to add, Mirdita, Bună ziua, and Zdravite to cover all the languages in the Balkans.
Hopefully.
Now, when we're set with this, I can answer you. I'm doing really fine. I'm really happy and excited about this episode. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm also excited. Today, we're gonna have Lorisa Dimo as our guest, and she's from Albania. She's currently living and working in Germany for the one of the largest drugstore chains in Europe. She has very interesting story.
Yes, as Onat mentioned, she's currently in Germany as a process manager in one of the biggest companies, but she has also different backgrounds, and this is her main job. But besides this, she's doing a project, she's a part of an NGO called I'm a Global Citizen. It has the aim of addressing young people, mainly high school people around the globe, also impacting the Balkans in that sense, and having interaction with the Balkans and teaching them how to be more inclusive, how to be more aware, as actually empowering them to be more culturally inclusive and intercultural connected, and more, much more than that, which we will discover in this upcoming episode. And as Onat mentioned, she has a experience of living and working in Japan, which also makes her a global citizen. And we will see and ask her more than a few questions of how is it for a Balkan person to live and work in Japan. It will be definitely exciting and really looking forward to it.
Yes, let's jump to the episode. Just before the episode, please like, subscribe, and see the description. Enjoy.
Please, work means a lot to us. We can continue our work if you interact with us. So without further ado, let's start the episode. And here we are back today.
Hello,
Welcome,
everybody.
hello
Hi.
everybody. Welcome, Lorisa. It's a pleasure having you on our show.
Thank you for the invitation.
It's great
You're
to have
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
How are you doing, Lorisa?
I'm doing well, especially today. It's snowing here in Germany, so good. Special feeling, although it's sunny right now. So.
And you're in North Germany, right?
Yeah, I'm actually living in Hanover. Not quite north, but yeah.
But still, when having a sun, it's a pleasant feeling.
Right. It doesn't happen quite often, so you know.
I can imagine from my also experience. Lorisa, usually when we start, we want to have like a few questions just as a warm up that are not related to our topic. Our audience is already used to it. So, Onat, if you would do us the pleasure and starting it.
Sure. So my question is, what is the top 3 things on your bucket list and why?
In my bucket list, you mean topics which are related to our conversation today, or
No.
Okay. First of all, one of my favorite things in my bucket list is to, for the future at least, I would like to have a family. This is something which I think it might be almost the time. I would like to have a dog, and something that I have definitely done during the whole years up to now in my life is to keep developing myself, and that means in different dimensions.
Both private and both professional ways, I guess.
Right, definitely. Yeah, it's like a never-ending story. Learning new things, trying to get to know new cultures, traveling more, doing more things in free time. I mean, yeah, this was also something that I set as a resolution for this year, but you know, it's not always happening on the way that I thought, at least not up to
That's
now.
good.
No.
But
Yeah.
Everything changes in life, so and that's
right.
kind of like a lead up to my question. I usually ask people, what did you want to be when you were little and when you grow up later on?
Yeah. I mean, when I was a child, I wanted to become a doctor. Unfortunately, this didn't happen. And for this, I have to blame a little bit my family because, you know, in our culture is a little bit the mentality, oh, you should not become a doctor because you're a girl. You should focus more in the family. Then you will take shifts and things like that. So, yeah, but that was actually my preference on that time. And of course, coming from a military family,
Oh.
I think I took another direction, which definitely I do not. It's good. It's good. I do not regret, and I'm doing the best of the path that I choose then later on. And in the future, what I would like to become in the future, you know, this kind of questions are quite normal ones. Like I don't like them because
No,
nobody knows what will
of
become in the
course.
future. And to be honest, I'm a person which I don't want to plan my future. I would like to become the person that I think that would be the best person of myself and to give the best of me in whatever direction that I will develop myself. So according the future, I would like to let it as it is. I like the person who I am right now, and definitely I would like to improve it in the best way possible.
That's the best way somebody can put it. You
Yeah.
cannot predict. You can have your wishes, but it's always changing depending on the circumstance and depending on your preferences.
Exactly.
We
Yeah,
all
that's
change.
right. Yeah.
And right now, as you said, you're in North Germany. You have your full-time business that we mentioned in the intro, but that's not our main thing here that we're having. You're doing some other things in your life, which is also changing and adapting and developing. It's called I'm Global Citizen, right?
Right.
Could
Right.
you tell us a little bit about it? What it is? What does it present?
Right, as you said, yeah. I'm doing two things in parallel right now. Yeah, I'm working for a company, but I'm also using my free time together with my other co-founders to do something which is completely different from our daily work. So we started, the whole experience actually started in Japan. I used to live in Japan for around 3 years, and there I decided to do my second master studies in the International University of Tokyo. And then on that time, it was like, okay, what I'm gonna do right now? Like I'm developing myself, but something that I found like really difficult is to explain myself to the other people, like to give real experience to whatever the problem was. Like for me, it was so difficult to explain that to the others. And then I had like a teaching session and I realized that, okay, white people are not understanding what I want to say. You know, it was like, it's so easy because I have everything in my head. And then this is how it started. I started saying that I need to improve my teaching skills and I need to do something in order to develop myself into this direction. And then I came up with a company which was having some workshops regarding cultural differences and global impact. And then I got registered, like blindly registered into that. And I said, yeah, I'm in Japan.
Sorry, where was this company? Also in Japan or something
Yeah.
online?
No, it
In
was in
Japan.
Japan. Yeah.
Okay.
And I got registered there, and basically all the leaders were PhD candidates or master students from different countries. And I liked this experience. So I went there blinded, and yeah, I needed to give an impact, like a cultural impact. What Why is important? Why is important to get to know other cultures? What does it mean for Japanese country? You know, Japan is an island and it's quite isolated and not so open regarding other cultures. Although I have to say that the young generations are really open and they really want to learn more regarding that. And this is how it started. And then in the middle of all those workshops, I got to know Camila and Sibel. And we had some sessions together. So we were basically having these leadership programs and we were doing all the sessions together and we had quite a good exchange. And then Felipe came in as well. And this is how the story started. So we were just like sitting together, communicating together, and we were like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like we were really feeling giving an impact into other people, into young generation, high school students, you know. And the best part is when you basically see them changing and being so thankful for a 3 days workshop and for changing their mindset, being open for new challenges, being open for studying abroad, having no difficulties into speaking English. You know, for them it's quite, you know, Japanese culture, they are quite shy. So yeah, when I saw this, I said like, wow, this is something that definitely I would like to do in the future as well. So then we kept doing those kind of things and we kept checking, okay, where we are doing right and wrong and what we would like to change, either in this program itself that we were actually working for a company. And once we came back, yeah.
Sorry to ask. So you were doing, you three of you were doing with the Japanese high school kids or whatever?
Yeah,
Japanese
right.
company, and okay, and you were talking to Japanese youngsters. Okay.
Right. We were doing that in Japan for Japanese high schools. Yeah, and yeah, and then we, two of us, basically came back to Europe, Sibel and myself, and then Camila on the time, and it's still right now, and Felipe, they are still in Japan. And then we said, okay, then we need to do something like we used to do in Japan. And this is how everything started up. We applied for a grant from the European Council, and we start with our first program. I have to say that this has been a very huge work, especially for Camila and Sibel on the time, because I have only been invited in order to facilitate one of the sessions. They told me, Lorisa, we have this thing, and how do you find it? And I say, yeah, I want to participate. Yeah, that's amazing. Let's do that. And then we had the very first session on the time, you know, it was amazing. We were talking about intercultural understanding, and we basically talked about 4 sessions to be like our identity and what is its dimensions. We talked about how to connect the cultures and what is the connections among the cultures itself. How can we act in communities and what does discrimination means? And we also had like a reflection session when we said, okay, this was wow. And this was an online session when we said, okay, we are inviting everyone from Europe. And you cannot imagine what kind of impact we had also in Balkan countries. I'm so proud that most of the participants were coming from Balkan, and they were really open to discuss every single thing. And this gave me also a great impact when I said, wow, you know, it's like amazing, because also other people from Europe and so on, they are not so used about our communities, our history, and sharing and accepting and being so proactive, but also very self-critic. You know, it was like really a challenge, like facilitating different opinions, which basically came together then, and it was really a very successful session, I have to say. Yeah. And this was the first session. Yeah.
Sorry. Those sessions, how did they look like? They were also like in Japan, you had the talks with youngsters from Europe, and did they also interact with each other, or you were just facilitating as mentors, or how did it look like?
Yeah, actually in Japan, we were having the classes, we were having the sessions in classes, like having a huge audience. Also, there were sessions where American students were invited, so it was really a more inclusive sessions from people around the world. And then actually in this session we did that online, so it was easily to reach people worldwide. But on the other hand, yes, I have to admit, they were not sitting close to each other, so it was corona time as well. But I mean, this also brought quite a good impact, because of course right now everything is happening online, but the feeling of having someone close to you, of watching someone on the eyes, it's completely different, I have to say that. But still, the session was online, and I have to say that it worked better than our expectations. It was really nice. Yeah.
Are you still in contact with your first students? Do you have any?
Yes. Yes, and actually not only we were in contact, but then we had the second session of our Global Citizen conversation series. And I have to say that everyone from our previous students, at least from the Europe, they were writing to me, "Hey, Lorisa, I saw that. Can I apply? Is it okay if I apply?" And I'm like, "Of course it's okay. You can apply for sure." And I have to say that it's so nice when people follow you and follow your work, and people are so excited on doing things that are quite new for them, but still bringing up very nice impact. And we had those conversations split in different ones. Like we had to talk regarding people, we had to talk regarding peace, prosperity. So it was like really a huge conversation with people participating from different countries. Like we have participants from Africa, we had participants from Europe, we have participants from Japan, Asia. Like really, it was amazing and exchanging. And it was not only talking to each other, but it's also putting all those ideas together, and they ended up with amazing projects that they did for themselves. So really, taking in consideration that they are in such a young age and bringing people together and committing even with the time zones, this was like, wow, so professional. You cannot expect them from 18, 17 years old students. And I have to say, this had a really a huge impact, not only for us as I'm Global Citizen, but also for the students themselves, and also for the communities where they are in. It was amazing that they presented their projects in their schools. And we also had many guest speakers, like each guest speaker for each session. And we made sure to choose people under 25, which are very famous into the things that they are doing in their countries. And the youngest one was only 16. And she was really amazing. And all the groups which were actually having the opportunity to have 1 week of mentorship with these guest speakers, they came up with great ideas, and we were really happy with the outcome. I was like, my team all the time says, "Oh my God, we have to babysit you, Lorisa," because I'm very emotional and I'm so much in contact with my team, because I was facilitating Planet conversations. So really, it was like, or even I found it so difficult to say to the other group that, "Sorry, you are not selected for the membership program." It was like really so challenging for me, because the projects were amazing, but at the end we had to be fair and we could choose only one group.
For our audience and us to understand again, so you facilitate, you have like an open call, the youngsters come, as we understood, and then they present their projects, and then you choose specific projects that's going to be realized, or they have the mentor program to be realized, or something like this.
Yeah, it's mainly, we had an open call for applications in our website, imglobalcitizen.com, and in our social media, where we
put it
invite
in our
different
description.
people. Thank you. When we invited different people or students to participate, we also were in contact with different schools worldwide. So they also sent students to participate into that. The program was for free, so it was also granted by the European Council. And we got first all the applications. Yeah, it's quite challenging, challenging to go through and to choose only some of them. So I'm really sorry. For the ones who didn't get a confirmation for their application. But yeah, this is how it works. We also ask them to write down a motivation, why they want to participate in such programs, what is their plan, are they doing something proactive in their community, and where is their interest. So this is the first pre-selection. And then we go, we make the open session where the mentors basically introduce themselves, and they also say whatever, or introduce what they have been doing and what were their journey and what is the impact that they are basically having right now into their communities. But not only, some of them also have like partnerships with Adidas, for example. So this was really an open discussion when also the student could ask like whatever they had, like what kind of questions they wanted, their concerns, how did they got to do all of this, and what were their motivation, like very open discussions. And then we split them into groups where they had also to talk about different problems into their communities or countries, which they are facing regarding to the topic where they were participating. And then they also had an exchange time where they can also talk to each other. Okay, are these problems worldwide, or is this something that is only concerning Asia or only Europe or only US? So it was really a very nice conversation to get to hear each other. And I basically only try to facilitate because they were very open and they did a good job. Either I just tried to tickle a little bit with questions here and there, and then they had like a preparation time where they need to think about a project that can be worldwide or can be set only in one country, and everyone needs to work together and to come up with a proposal. So at the end of 3 hours, we had a proposal with the goals, with the aims, what they were aiming to do into this project. And then after we got the proposals, I'm Global Citizen made the pre-selections, and that we also took in board our mentors, and yeah, we chose one for each conversation series. So this was the whole process.
So they come with some idea, motivation, and then during the conversations they come up with a concrete idea for the project, and then you help them develop this project. And those projects are what type of projects? Can you give some examples?
Yeah, for example, eco school. Like they came up with an idea of creating a school completely ecological, and the mentor, Joshua, they went through the whole process together for 1 week. So every day he had a meeting with the group itself. He helped them develop their ideas, how to facilitate all the processes, what kind of needs they need, which are the parties that they need to contact, and also exchange some contacts who can help them in order to put in action kind of, it's like it's all about connections. And then also in the very last session, we had people coming from different organizations, also UNDPs, from Albania, or people from other NGOs worldwide, where they also gave them support, or also people like, I don't know, very young people who are doing web design, they were like, we can help you creating your own website. You can promote your project. Just feel free to write to me. It was very heart melting, really. It's so nice to work with young people because they have this energy, they have this motivation, and I'm so happy that they would like to take actions. And this is what I'm global citizen doing? We are just not saying, theoretically you need to do this and that, but we are much more hands-on and teaching or telling people, okay, this is the right way. You can take action, although you are in a very young age. And this is our aim. This is our goal, to make young generation realize that they can make changes, and really a huge change in social impact. And they can also be inspiring other people, not only in their school, but in their community and in their country as well. So, yeah.
What do you think the main number one issue for the young people in the world? I mean, more we get older, more we are becoming personal. We think about personal issues. We forget about the global issues. And I remember for myself as well, when I was younger, I was thinking more about the global warming, the inequality in the countries. But the more I get older, I more focus on myself, unfortunately.
Taxes, rent,
Yeah,
so
the
on.
bills
Yeah.
and
I
everything.
lose the time of thinking about the global issues. Yeah.
But
but
what's
honestly,
the
this is
young
the-
people's main focus right now?
Yeah, but this is the main power of being young, because you don't need to think about the salary, you don't need to think about the taxes. And this is the power of being young.
Yes.
This is the power of having the time to think of changing something. And really, I can say that many of the students that we have in there, they are very focused in those kind of topics. And I cannot say that we only have one major problem worldwide, because I wouldn't like to identify one, because we are talking here about the whole world. But I have to say that the common ideas that they have in order how to facilitate or how to overcome these kind of obstacles, whether gender differences, inequalities, poverty, planet problems, these are all topics which this young generation is really concerned. And I have to say that they have quite a lot of information regarding that. They are very active also in social media, posting things for women, talking about poverty, helping people out. And it should not be, because we always, as old or adult people, adult, not the right word, adult.
Sounds better.
Yeah. We think about only, motivating others or helping others financially. But is this the most important thing, actually? And as a young person or as a child, if you migrate into another country, giving someone who will give you money, actually, maybe it's not so meaningful. They would like to have time. They would like to learn new languages. They need to, to do something. They need to have friends. Like, just put it like this. They need to have friends. They need to communicate with someone. They need to learn the language. They need to talk. And money, actually, at this stage, is not important. And if you are young, you have the right, or you have all the possibilities to approach your age in a different way. And parents may think or may help them financially. This is another issue, but it's much more that you can do rather than financially. We are talking about emotional support. We are talking about being part of their life. We are talking about people who really takes care and go all to immigrants camps, and they try to help these young people, like studying, like getting to know the local language, their culture, and things like that. So I think this is another impact which is underestimated, but this is what young people can do. And actually, this has much more value in the personal, emotional aspect rather than the financial one. So, yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I agree. Just to be on the clear side, when you talk about financial things, you meaning once they have financial basics that all the people should need, on top of it, it's not really necessary to have more than that. It's necessary to have like a broader views, to integrate, to have more ideas, to develop yourself personally in order then having additional money you can easily spend, but in the end, having this internal development makes you be
Right.
more useful to your environment. We're on the
Yeah.
same side then. Good to
Yeah,
hear.
definitely.
Coming from this thing that you mentioned, you have different kids that they're all aware, they're more informed and everything about their surrounding, about the world. Do you think it's the general thing, or it's again just because of this small? Sorry to say, but it's relatively small number of people that apply in terms of the whole world. Do you think it's also globally like that? It's getting better, or there are again good individuals coming to your program?
I think it's getting better. It's getting better because also the awareness in the schools are getting really more proactive. So also in the schools, you
That's
have
good.
this kind of programs which they make people aware of what is happening worldwide. I also work for a school in Japan, so they also have some dedicated hours where they get to know other cultures, or they get to know what is happening worldwide. Why people are reacting in this way and not in this way. What is the difference between Japan and other countries? What is happiness at the end? And it's so important and so interesting how young people define happiness. And it's also related to the age itself, but I barely heard someone mentioning money. You know, like this innocent way of looking things, it's very interesting, and this is also something that we need to value. Therefore, I think the awareness is really there, and I have been also in many workshops where you have different formal and non-formal educators from all over the world, and I have to say that the impact is there. Is there, and people and students, teachers are getting to know more about that, and also implementing this kind of lectures in schools. Yeah.
You mentioned the case for Japan. I also noticed in Europe, in general, Western, Central Europe, it's also changing. It has been for a while, for decades now. In the Balkans, I had the same feeling. It's not in the same pace. It's getting there. They're having, for instance, they're having more computers in schools, not enough still, but they're accessible to learn. Also, they have back at home internet access. So, but
Right.
again, it's there's pros and cons. They also have access to some things that are really not good for them or their environment. So, and up again, they also should have parental supervision.
Right.
But in the end, I'm also having the feeling, at least in Serbia, that it's getting better. Onat, how is it getting in Turkey? Is it getting better also? Are kids getting more?
Yeah, definitely. The schools are getting better as well. I mean, compared to my time.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
I also
all three of
say
us.
the same. I also used to study in Albania, and to be honest, I feel so bad that I couldn't know about those kind of things on the time, because you need to go to school, you need to do your homework, and it's just like that system. You're just in the system itself, and you have to follow that. It's like being a good student, having good grades, but you are just focused on the subject itself, and rather than doing integrals and whatever. You are not really getting to know what is happening outside of the country, and you just get this information from media, whatever is happening, and you only get to know the bad thing that is happening worldwide. And as a child, you really cannot differentiate. Like, it's like, oh wow, oh, and then you create like utopic idea regarding a country or another without really having the opportunity. On that time, we didn't have enough access to internet and things like that. So this is also my impression coming back. Like, people are having much more access to information, and it's just a matter of making people aware to read the right information in media and social media, because as we can see, also the social media nowadays is really playing a very good role, in a good and a bad way, definitely. But I think at the end, parents and teachers and educators should also be more active regarding this kind of topics, and direct the students into reading informations which are much more relevant for them rather than other things. Yeah.
And plus, as you mentioned, now we have access to internet, all the information needed, and now they can also have the information of knowing your organization exists. and that they can
Yeah.
also contribute to their interconnectivity. Imagine us back then. So we're all three of us are millennials, and imagine us in elementary or even high school getting to connected with a person of me from coming from Serbia, with Albania, from Turkey, and plus on top you can connect with people from Japan, from US, you name it, and then you all come
Right.
together and you do the brainstorming, something for your community. It's going to be good. Then you develop it. You get the mentors, you get the connections, you open the whole new world, and I can only imagine the impact that it will have back then. And now you're doing it. There are also some other organizations doing it. And really, kids have more options. And I'm really happy to hear this and what you're doing and what other people are doing. The impact
Yeah.
is for sure present in a good
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'm also very happy and motivating on doing that, because then you understand how people get to know you, get to know other people, get to know their differences, get to know what is missing in their country, and get to know each other and communicate and share ideas and contribute. And, sometimes you don't really need to come up with a great idea. Maybe sometimes you just need to implement something that is already implemented in another country, and it's so easy because you just need to adapt that. And I'm so happy when students come in and say, oh my God, I heard that in the US this is happening, and so I'm going to talk to my teacher, and maybe we can have the same class, or maybe we can do the same thing or the same program. It's so interesting. And sometimes they can also talk to each other and say, oh, do we want to exchange cool, our class with your class, and then we come up with something, or just get to knowing each other. You present your country, I present my country, and maybe we have to have some exchangings. Then who knows, maybe in some years we get to meet each other. So it's very interesting, and you bring people together, and that's it, actually.
Yeah, it's the end goal is like as you said.
This will completely remove all the misconception about the cultures, and at the end,
Potential fighting, conflicts.
Right. Yeah.
Usually they come from misunderstanding. I know nationalists in the whole region. Usually, when they hate some other people, when you ask them, "What do you know about them?" They usually just point out the stereotypes, the bad stereotypes.
Right.
Can you name at least one other country, a city besides the capital? Usually, for instance, say, oh, maybe a few. Or do you know the biggest river? Do you know what else do you export? Some random stuff. Do they know? I don't.
But their kid probably their kid probably have some online friend from that country, and they are like the best friends.
Yeah.
People also doing some online games, and they also get to meet each other, which was not the case before when we were kids. And they also sometimes fight, but most of the times I hear they get friendships, and they say, "Oh, I'm from Bosnia. I had some really cool friend from Serbia, or I'm from Serbia, and friend in Albania, Turkey, wise." And they start using English, which was also not so popular back then. Now a lot of kids know English to some extent, bad or good, and it's also improving their interconnectivity with each other. Developing businesses, relationships, everything. We're also, Lorisa and I were part of this alumni network, which is getting I guess we also mentioned before on our channel, on it, I guess. It's also a good example of young people, relatively young, like students in universities from the region coming to meet each other, going abroad, developing their know-hows in their respective industries, and knowing more about themselves. Right now, I have so many friends from the Balkans, which I didn't have before, and we're developing ideas, businesses, you name it, having lots of different stuff thanks to this program. And your program is kind of like that, which we really like and support. And
and it's also so important because when I started with the program itself, when I first came to Germany, I was also like, okay, I cannot speak German and I need to survive. So where do I start from? This kind of things. And then you realize, really, once you are there, you realize what you need to do. And I think that happened to you as well. I'm sure about that. And this is how everything starts, like step by step, and you find out at the end your way. But I have to say that once you're in a foreign country, you feel much more familiar with the Balkans around you, you know? So it's like, oh my gosh, but we're so similar. Oh, you do that. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, this name. We also have this name. Oh, you're doing this coffee, this kind of Turkish coffee. Really? I can do that at home. Come on. So we catch up for a Turkish coffee or something like that. So it's really
This is
amazing
basically
how...
our summary of Dushan.
Of our podcast show.
Right.
You just say it in one sentence. Yeah, we have much more things in common than we think. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And at the end, we are all humans. And I really liked, let's say, when something a Balkan song is playing somewhere, you can see all of Balkans dancing, you know?
Mm.
And no matter if you don't understand the words, but you know the steps, so it's good. So it's really an event at some point. Yeah.
It's also good and sad at the same time. I saw some meme where you have like different people fighting each other and there are flags of Balkan countries. And then that second picture is all of them hugging. And there's a German flag in the background. So they're in Germany and now they're hugging. It's all good right now. We're all
Right.
friends on the neutral ground. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But still, your program is it still doing some new things? Is it new application coming up or something that we can also
Right
promote
now,
here?
yeah, well, actually, right now we are making some thoughts because, as I said, this is just something that we do in our free time, but we are working all the time proactively in order to develop a new program. So right now we are in the phase of doing new concepts about concept regarding the programs that will come soon, hopefully. And we are also planning to have a session, to keep a session monthly in order to be a little bit more active, also not only with our old audience, but also to reach other people and to make sure that also other people can have the opportunity to get to know this kind of programs. And we will focus on the people that we already rejected in the past programs. So yeah, you will hear from us. So yeah, promise.
That's great. You're also looking for new mentors?
We are actually working with volunteers. We already finished this part. We have 3 volunteers joining our team, and we are also making sure that they are also around with social media, that they also take care of social media and also to develop new programs with us, because this is also important to customize the programs a little bit, mainly with the countries where we are planning to help them. Therefore, this is our first step. Regarding the mentors, it depends from the program itself, but normally when we need someone, we also make sure to put the post in our website or in our social media. So yeah, that's it.
Are those going to be sessions, and those meetings are going to be also online, or are you going to have some in person?
Well, since Camila and Felipe, they are basically placed in Japan, we are making some thoughts whether we would like to have like a worldwide sessions with people from all over the world, and of course it would be an online session, or whether we split a little bit and we do those sessions in the schools itself. So maybe Sibel and myself, we focus more in Europe, and then we hire some mentors in order to facilitate the programs, and then Felipe, Camila, and Tutku, which joined us recently, will take care for Japan. So we are checking both opportunities, and we are also contacting some schools in Europe which are open to collaborate and to make sure to set these programs in their schools. So we are working into developing new things. Yeah.
So I was going to ask, are you planning to create an alumni community for the future?
Yeah, in the future, for sure. Right now, we would like, since we are quite new, we would like to run more projects to have more people on board, and then for sure an alumni will come.
Step by step. And do you plan any specific ones in the Balkans? Do you have some specific ones in the Balkans coming up? Some sessions?
Yeah, we would like to implement in Albania one. Actually, collaborating with the school, which actually trusted us in the previous sessions as well. We had very good participants from that school, and this is our goal, to implement something in an Albanian school. And we also would like to expand further, but as I said, step by step, since we are mainly placed in different countries within and abroad. So yeah, it's a little bit logistically impossible to follow closely. Therefore, we have to do things step by step, and we also need to think each step very carefully. So yeah.
Plus, we have your main jobs, so it's also an additional difficulty.
That's on top. That's on top. So all that free time left, we are trying to spend that in the best way possible. Therefore, it takes some time, at least a little bit more than rather when you are focusing only in an NGO, because don't forget, we are also developing and doing everything by ourselves. So it's everything internally done.
Maybe here we can emphasize that the partners are important. And if any company listening to this want to be part of this, can contact. So, for example, like Zoom for online events. If any person from Zoom listening here,
or any other tech company or any other company that willing to support also the schools that they want to also be part of this program, can, if some of our audience knows somebody or is part of the school system or some of the company, please contact us and we will direct to Lorisa and your amazing organization.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate that, definitely. Thank you. And even if there are some schools here in this audience, please make sure to write us, because we would be very happy to get in contact with you worldwide. No problem. We can do all the sessions online, and we are happy to support you.
If I knew about this one when I was in high school, I would definitely apply for sure, because of my personal preferences, but also the kids that don't know it and don't have the support from their parents or whatever, they should also know from our podcast, or at least from people listening to this, they should also promote you and let people know that there are options, there are chances. Although, sometimes you need English for sure when you interact with other guys around the globe, but nevertheless, they can apply and explore the world through your program.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, English, it's always this topic like, oh my God, I cannot speak English so well, but this is only something that some people are quite shy. But once they start talking in English and once they don't care about the mistakes that are doing, then it's so easy to communicate. And at the end, they just forget, because nobody, except Americans or people coming from the UK, but it's amazing how they also approach to the other people. So they try to speak slowly and make sure to use very simple words for the others to understand everything, or doing the corrections altogether, also for the proposals that they are writing at the end. So everything works perfectly. I mean, English should not be a problem and should not be a barrier where you say, oh, I should not apply, so please forget about that. I'm not a native speaker. And it's normal. Important is to get to know each other. Important is to open yourself for new things and get to know amazing people which are facing the same problems as you worldwide.
Not only for high school kids, also for our audience and also for some of our potential guests. But because if you don't know, also some people from the Balkans that could have been our potential guests just said, oh, it's in English, I haven't done this before. Although I know English, I said, just try it out. I mean, it's not so scary. We make mistakes all the time. When we go through our episodes, we're like, why did I say this like this? But in the end, I would also say it in my native tongue, so it goes both ways. So nevertheless, after years of talking it, you don't notice that you make some mistakes, but it's totally fine. And we have this in English because in the Balkans, although some people have the same or similar languages, in order for all of us to understand each other, to be interconnected, and to hear each other interesting stories, English is the lingua franca, and we cannot do anything about it. But still, lots of people in the Balkans know English, because I know when foreigners come in the Balkans, regarding which country, they say, "Oh, people really do understand." But when they want to respond, they're like, "Oh, I'm not so good,
Yeah.
But they understand, like 90%. They don't have issues like explaining something, and they receive what
Right.
they asked, but response lacks sometimes because they don't have the practice. They hear it all the time, and it's also an interesting cultural thing. I guess because we
Yeah.
don't dub thing like in Germany, like in France, Spain, we have everything original.
Original. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Only in Turkey, I don't know, not do dub stuff, or you have it
Everything.
original.
Like
Oh, so
the
that's why.
subtitles are now for this new generation is something okay, but before nobody was watching something with subtitle. But thanks to that, we have a
they have to put in original.
very good sector, very talented people with the dubs.
That's why. Regarding languages and cultures, and you said in the beginning, and it's also interesting part of your story in general, not only I'm global citizen, you mentioned as some person from Albania, from the Balkans, you've been to Japan, you've been there 2 or 3 years, right? If I remember.
3.5. Yeah.
3.5 years. That's quite a lot. Could you tell us about your experience in Japan? And we're really keen to know about the planet of Japan, because a lot of people say it's not the other countries, the other planet, in terms of differences.
And what inspired you to go there?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Japan is another planet. Yeah. Okay. It was a personal decision. I wanted. I was working here in Germany on that time, and I'm very keen on studying. I have to say that I really have this passion of studying or continuing studying. And I find this thing like just amazing, because once you are working, you just do your daily work and you forget about learning, reading every day, like learning new stuff, like get to know other things, what is in surrounding happening. Because even when you do your bachelor degree, the information at the time is so different from the information nowadays. So, this updating yourself from the past or in a kind of yearly
literally
basis.
No, you're literally updating. I agree, like new version of yourself, you need to update the software. Yeah.
So this is something that I really like. And I was working here in Germany, as I mentioned, and then I said, well, I need to do something. I need to keep studying. I need to do something different. So then I applied. On the time I was applying abroad, and it was like Australia or Japan. And then at the end, I decided for Japan because this was completely a new experience, and I went for that. And this is how everything started. I got a master's degree there in economics, and then the everything started over and over again. So it was amazing, but also in a way very difficult, because we should not forget that the cultural differences does not make it easier, And once I have been there, it was, first of all, like I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. I was in the lectures, and it was so funny. Japanese students, they used to sleep in their sessions, when you are in lecture times. And so they used to sleep. And this is not a bad sign. That means that basically you have been studying during the whole time or at night. And this is a good sign that someone is, kind of sleepy because it's tired. And then my professor was just in front of my face, and then I have a girl there, and I was like, just like, professor is there, and she's like, it's fine, just let me sleep. And I was like, okay. This was my first shock.
In Turkey, it is
So it's
mostly
okay
because
to
of
sleep on the class.
In Turkey, it is mostly because of the partying and stuff.
Right.
Of the partying. Okay. The same in the Balkans, more or less. Or you stay online, doing something online, I don't know, all night.
Yes.
So
But that was a good sign, because that means that the student had been studying up to late. So that's the reason why he or she is really tired. So for me, it was like so unrespectful. I was like disrespectful. So I was like, okay, now what is going to happen? So I was just trying to think, okay, the professor would be like really angry about that, but then nothing happened. Really, it was just normal. And then I was just like checking on my left and on my right, and I saw like really 50% of class was just sleeping. And I was like, okay, how weird is that now? Come on.
It's really cool back in the Balkans to have this excuse. Hey, you're sleeping in the class. Oh, I was studying all night. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
You can imagine. Okay.
It was so funny in the beginning. And this is how I started my very first day in my class. Like,
that was the first day.
Yeah. This was my first day. And then, you go to the administration office and so on. And I think I was asking at the time for a scholarship. And it was always this, the Japanese, they use this. And this for me, it was like, does it mean yes or not? What is that now? So I went there the next day and then the next day and then the next day until I realized that means no, but they can just not say no. It's just like a polite way to say no, but they couldn't say no.
Okay.
So I was like,
and you used the German model, just 9 and okay,
right.
sorry, not maybe
So,
or something. So
exactly, or all these kind of things or impressions. It was so difficult to read their impressions because in Japanese culture, of course, you have a side for yourself or a family where you are in a work environment. So it's so difficult to read other people's mind and facial expression. It's for me at least almost impossible, at least in the beginning. So yeah, it was like a black box. Okay, what he's thinking now or she's thinking right now. But the best part, I have to say to you, it was like when everyone in the university was asking me whether I was sick. And it was a good reason for that. Like everyone's like, oh, Lorisa, are you sick today? I'm like, no. And then you go to another person and they're, oh my gosh, are you sick? And I'm like, why? And then I realized I was looking like sick because I didn't have any makeup on my face. And this was like, okay, so yeah, I need to take care of that. It was so funny. And to be honest, that was also the country which taught me how to make sure to make makeup in 5 minutes. So yeah.
So they put a lot of makeup in Japan.
But it looks so natural, for them, and it's like all this mindset to look good, and they are very good looking people and take care about their style. The fashion in Japan is also crazy. I really like the style. I really appreciate how people take care about themselves. They always look so good, and it's important. I have to say that it's very important, and I took this as a lesson for myself as well. That's why I have makeup today, guys. So yeah, it's really a self-respect.
We don't. Sorry, we should put like honest. We forgot.
I washed my face. If that counts.
That's you did most of the work.
But really, it's girls there made me realize that this is a self-respect. You don't need to be beautiful for other people, but you just need to be beautiful and feel beautiful for yourself. And yeah,
that's different from the Balkans because they usually do this for others, not for themselves.
Right. And for me, living in Germany at that time, having no makeup on my face, it was like a normal thing,
and the fashion in Germany as well. The fashion is you just go outside in pajamas. It will be like, oh, nice. That's unusual. Nice.
Yeah, but I think it's also related with the weather here because you have this onion weather. You have a layer for each time of the day because it's so cold, and then it's so warm, and then cold, and then it's snowing and it's raining. So, but in Japan it's completely different. People take care also to get other clothes with them. Once something happens, you should have something else to put on. You need to look very good, and yeah, but I really appreciate that thing, and I think this is a very good thing, because if you don't mind for yourself, at least you have to mind for other people who really are with you and working with you, and I think it's quite pleasant to be in a nice condition, not only for others but also for yourself. So I took this lesson for myself, yeah, from Japan. And then
just
this is
talking
how,
about the clothes and
yeah, I mean, yeah, I do also have nowadays still a very high Japanese impact in my in my fashion, which not necessarily fits here in Europe, but I like it. It's quite feminine, and yeah, I think that's my style now. Although here in Germany it's a little bit different, but it's okay. I need to feel comfortable with myself and for myself. So yeah.
naturally. And what are the other things you liked in Japan?
I like that people are so careful with you and your feelings. I like that because sometimes here in Europe, at the end, at least, or in the US as well, like, you know, people are quite open, or they don't really mind if you're getting hurted or something like that. And in Japan, people really take care. They really take time to give the right answer to not hurt you and your feelings. And you feel so comfortable there that it's amazing. I mean, I like this kind of culture. I like how people taking care about everything, about their belongings, about other people around them, about environment. I mean, we also saw in the soccer games how they put all the trash together, and I love the fact that there were no trash bins on the street, because you need to take your trash with you at home and then recycle that and separate that, and I love that. It was very difficult for me, I have to say, in the beginning. Like, here in Germany, yeah, we do the separation, but it's completely in another level in Japan. You really need to wash before you put the things trash. So it's really,
we do in the Balkan similar. You throw it in the river and the river washes it off.
right? Yeah, but
Another level.
Eye-opening for me, and yeah, it was very interesting. And on top, you feel so secure. You don't have any problems, even when you go, like a very basic example, you want to go in a Starbucks and buy something, you just put your wallet, you know, on the table in order to reserve that place, and then you go to order. Nobody will touch it, nobody. It's like amazing. You feel perfect.
Is it empty? Like you put it as, like, you
No,
know, as
no,
decoy?
nobody.
No, it's normal wallet. You put it
It's just normal. You let your laptop there, and then you go.
Oh, laptop I heard, but wallet, yeah, still. Yeah.
Wallet, laptop, phone, whatever. Nobody will touch that, and that's amazing. This is completely another world.
I will die because of the anxiety.
I died in the beginning as well, and I was like, is this happening? Really happening? You know? And yeah, it was happening. So it was just normal. And I like this mindset. You feel safe. People take care of you. I don't know, people are so nice, really. Even when people are having a bad day, they will still be nice to you. Always nice to you. And yeah, sorry.
Please. You wanted to say something.
This is also a lesson that I learned and I took with me, and I said, yeah, I also I should implement this in my lifestyle. Even if I have a bad day, why should I put this out? Like, no, I always have to have a smile on my face, because people which are around me should not get an angry face for what reason, you know? So I think this was a very important experience for myself, for my emotional part as well. I get to learn to be hard, to be a strong person, and to make sure that everyone around me feels comfortable. And I think this is important. Very important.
You mentioned about smiling, although if you don't feel good, some people interpret that as a fake thing, but they don't agree. I agree more with you. I also read about it that also when you, so to say, force to yourself, you make a command, smile right now, you're subconsciously showing to your body, okay, I'm right now smiling. That's correct, with positive thoughts, with positive ideas. Somehow you're getting yourself back in a positive way. It's not so fake as people think. Of course, there are people are faking it, but if you continue like this, internally you're feeling better and less depressed, less feeling bad. So I agree. I would
Right.
also do the same in your case.
Yeah.
I'm trying also from my side
Yeah.
as
I
much as
mean, being
possible.
positive or smiling
Just
a lot
positive.
does not cost you anything, and you
Mm,
can change
but you
other
can make
people's lives around you.
exactly, when you share a smile to somebody, you'll make this person a day better. You don't know what this person went through. And you just smile in normal way, not big smile, fake way from
Right.
Joker smile. No, just regular, normal smile. You'll make this person a better day. Maybe had a shitty day whole day, and he or she just saw a small smile. That's you made a difference.
Yeah,
That's one of the
right.
things.
I
And
apply
everyone
something
has.
similar actually, but the reverse. Uh, when even I
You
am
make shitty
happy.
day to somebody.
No, even I have a very perfect. People always like, "Is there anything wrong?" This is the outcome of being an introvert a bit.
Introvert habit. Yeah, don't force it then. Yeah,
Yeah.
then it's a
Yeah.
I
different
am
thing.
happy, and you have nothing to do with that.
Self-aware.
Self-aware, right?
And Larissa, in Japan, is it also like hard to people there? I guess because all the time, okay, we mentioned about being happy and smiling as much as possible, but sometimes you said it's hard to interpret what are they actually wanting to say because they don't want to offend you. So all the time you need to do some kind of math, so to say, calculating. So he did this and this meaning actually in the Balkans in Germany this, but actually in Japan it's this. How long it took you to go over the and finally
Like
Yeah.
get the
Turkish
whole program
drama.
loaded?
I don't think that I took the whole protocol of that. I don't think so. But at least after 1.5 years, I realized some faces or some words that they say and what they mean. But I have to say that I was also very blessed because I have like Japanese friends as well and neighbors, amazing neighbors, and people who also helped me a lot to understand their culture. You know, it's so important that you have around you locals which are open to tell you exactly what they mean, you know. And this is a very good step where you have to start with. And once you know some tricks or the way that they respond to you and what you should actually understand with this kind of responses, then everything is simpler. Yeah, it's easier. So with the time, of course, you realize, but then I was working for the Albanian embassy as well in Japan,
Hmm.
so I get to know many people, and this was also very important for me to get to know other cultures as well, but also their way of thinking about the Japanese culture, because there were people which were living there for 10 years, 15 years, so they can also bring you a little bit closer to the Japanese culture. And then with the time, everything changes. Definitely, you see things different. But I think also the Japanese people, they feel much more comfortable than around you because they know, aha, okay, she can understand my
Great.
expressions somehow. So yeah, it's that moment then when you're like, bing, and you have that, yeah, that good feeling being around and hanging around with them. So yeah.
How did the
What was your experience?
language? Sorry,
I
before
will just ask the same
language
question,
barrier.
totally the same. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Um, no.
Did you learn some Japanese in the end?
Just basics, really basics.
Arigato. Arigato.
Yeah, arigato.
I wanted to say something, but it
Just
might turn out
arigato.
Korean or something, so I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, no, it was so difficult, because in Japan you have 3 different alphabets, no, and in order to put everything together, it's very difficult. Although I think the language itself is not so difficult, there are many vowels into that, so
Hmm.
it's easier compared to Chinese, for example.
Oh.
But since you have, for me, I can only speak for myself. I need to read something in order to memorize that. And it's impossible. Like really, for me, it was impossible. And I have also, I have to say and to admit that I didn't really put so much time into learning Japanese because I was working really the whole time, even Saturdays and Sundays. So yeah, maybe this is something that I regret, but who knows? Who knows?
But did you mention 3 alphabets? So did they use them on a regular basis for like
When they
public
write
signings?
them. No, when they write, they use 3 alphabets like hiragana, katakana, and kanji. So kanjis are those, that coming from Chinese, and
The
then
vertical ones.
Not only the verticals one, it's mainly the symbols,
Symbols. Okay.
And then you have hiragana, which are a little bit more rounded. And then you have katakana, which you use basically for international words like, I don't know, Starbucks, McDonald's, things like that. And the combination of all of these 3 will come up into our language as a sentence. So, yeah.
So they combine it while they write it also in public signs?
Yeah. They combine everything together in order, without knowing all the 3 of them, I think it's quite difficult. With hiragana, you start with the elementary school, I guess, but I started to learn them, but I have to say I started the first one, second, third. When I was on the 4th, I forgot how I should write the first. So it was really difficult, really, really difficult for me. So at some point I gave up and I said, well.
Are they like
you gave it a try.
Update to each other's or like completely separate alphabets?
No, they are a mix. That you need to put all of the 3 of them together to write.
Like you use one when you write like, today I had a good day. I went to Starbucks. Then you use the second one to write the Starbucks, right?
Yeah, you don't have this. Yeah, but you don't have this space in Japanese language. You don't know. I don't know if you have ever seen how they write, but they don't have this space in between. So for me, sometimes it's so difficult to say, okay, where the second sentence starts. It's like, because one symbol means sometimes 2-3 words. And when you read all of them together, then you make the story. So yeah, it's difficult. I cannot.
And it's also based
so easy because I cannot.
It's based on experience because this specific one can mean 3 things, but based on the context before, you can kind of guess what does it mean right now. Yeah.
I think so. And then there are some indications in between that make it, if you put a kanji there and then a kanji before that it means another thing. And then, so, yeah.
Okay. All 3 of us are not Nipponists. Nippon is, I guess, Nippon.
That's why they're not direct. They are not sure.
In general. Not sure.
In general.
What they're meaning. There are all different options. Also for letters, sentences, words, and also for expressions. It's always an option.
Sometimes I ask the students, like, how do you read? How can you? And they're like, oh, Lorisa, it's so easy. And I'm like, yeah, I feel so stupid. Yeah, thank you. Because this is what they know, For them, it's easy. They're like, why do you need to write a sentence rather than just a kanji? And I'm like, good question. I don't know.
Come to Albania. I will explain to you from Albanian point of view. Like,
right.
You also have Gag, Tosk, but officially it's Tosk. But in the north you're speaking Gag dialect. So
right.
You go figure this one out. Come on, go from Kyushu.
Yeah, and it's also sometimes funny because also there are some Albanians who get to marry some Japanese girls, and it's so nice because some of them, like, they speak 2 or 3 words and sometimes 2-3 sentences, and they're like, Lorisa, but I have seen it's written like this, but they pronounce it differently. I don't understand a single word. And I'm like, it's Gag. Yeah, so. And they're like, yeah, but what is correct? And I'm like, both correct? Okay, so you write different and you pronounce this different. theoretically, practically, we should pronounce the same way that we write. But yeah, it's so difficult to explain.
So the Japanese were learning Albanian, right?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
learning Albanian, and it's amazing. But because I got to know two people which can speak Albanian, like I was like, wow, how
Japanese speaking Albanian. Wow.
Yeah.
I also say
That's
wow when I know a
really-
Serbian speaking Albanian. It's also for me wow. I cannot imagine
Yeah.
also Japanese person speaking Albanian. So
Yeah. So it's that was really a wow impact for me, and they also ask you regarding grammar, and I'm like, yeah, that's my mother language. It's nice, but I cannot really tell you why.
yeah.
So
For
Yeah.
audience that don't know Albanian, so as I understood, Tosk is a standard one. It's usually in the central and south Albania,
South
and the
Albanian.
GAC is unofficial one used in North Albania, Kosovo, Macedonia, everywhere else basically besides South
Yeah.
Albania.
Yeah, the official one, like we say Hochdeutsch, Hochalban.
Hochalban.
Hochalban. Yeah, we're right that, but of course, even in the task, you have all these kind of dialects, so it's not so easy. It's not a standard thing. Even in the capital, you have another accent. So yeah, it's important that everybody understand each other. I think the very first book was written in Gag, so I find the Gag accent very interesting and I like it a lot. But of course, like, depends on where you are coming, you have different accents, and this doesn't make it easier. Although I have to say on top of that Albanian language is not easy at all. So all the accents on top,
makes them more fun.
Yeah, right.
Coming back to Japan, what were the things that you didn't like in Japan? Besides having these complexities, I guess, sometimes of understanding the language and expressions, but the other things.
Difficult to say. Something that I didn't really like is the fact that they are not flexible. They have a manual and they have to follow the manual. Like, there is, for no reason, they will go out of this manual thing. And not being flexible as a foreigner, and as we in Balkan are very flexible for everything, this was really
survival mode all the time.
Right. So this was really frustrating for me, and I didn't really like that, because not everyone can fall under the same circumstances, and you cannot just say, okay, that's should be done like this. Yeah, this is something that really, really irritated me many times. But then you get used of that, and you know that you should not ask 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. It will never change. I mean, nothing will change. So you better accept that and just move on, and that's it. And this
sounds similar to Germany.
Oh no,
not to that extent. Not to that extent, of course. It's a radical difference, but it's kind of like Germany is, my point of view, leaning towards it rather than towards Balkans. And we know this from our experience living for the Balkans in Germany. But Japan is the other side of the scope.
Yeah. And it's so difficult sometimes in order to deal with all those stuff. So this was a part that I really didn't like too much.
I guess that's why there are so many startups in Japan, because they're not used to thinking like this, or breaking the standards, just being disruptive. They're used to being like in one line and just not going sideways.
Yeah. This is also something I have to admit, that once I applied for a job in Japan, and they even asked me whether I could dye my hair dark, because blonde was not so professional, or this was really a wow moment that I got. I'm like, why? And they're like, yeah, because the customs will not see you as serious, and this might be a little bit destructive, and like, okay, no, then I just went out of the interview. I'm like, I'm done. I don't want. But
they're not being racist, as I heard. It's just like, it's unusual for them. They also have with black people. They're always fascinated with black people, like it's a Martian.
Yeah, right. To be honest, I felt like a superstar. Everyone was taking pictures. Like, hello, hi, can I have a picture with you? Oh, okay. And everyone like, you're so beautiful. I'm like, oh wow, am I? That's so good. It felt good, in a way. And people are so like, oh no, can I touch your hair or something? You also have this kind of things there, which it's nice, but if you see that or if you experience that quite often, it starts to become kind of embarrassing at some point. But of course, they're very nice people. If you say no, then it's no, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted to take a picture, so it's fine." But yeah, this kind of things happen. Yeah.
Are they getting used to foreigners? Because I know those take pictures with tall people, black people, as I mentioned, blonde people, everything that's unusual to their everyday standards, they are fascinated by it. But are they getting used to foreigners and speaking in English to some extent?
Yeah, I have to say that in Japan, whether if you ask someone in English, they're not so keen on speaking English, not because they don't know, but because they don't feel comfortable. They feel shy if they do a mistake. Japanese people are 100% correct. They should do everything perfect. And being so spontaneous, like asking, "Oh, sorry, can you help me?" And they're like, sorry, no English, although they can help you actually. But then, of course, when you ask young generation, they will help you. No matter what, they will try all the possible ways, also like Google Translate and like, just a moment. And then they say something in Japanese and they show you, you need to do this and that. So yeah, the new generation is much more open, I have to say. And and they like it, and they are much more, and young generation also would like to study abroad. They appreciate when other people are coming in. They're like, oh my god, I didn't know this, and oh wow, this is so nice in your culture. We as Balkans, when we meet each other, we kiss each other and hug each other, and this is normal for us. And they're like sometimes asking me, yeah, but how can you be so lovely? And I'm like, it's just normal. It's the standard. And they're like, I find it so nice. Oh, nobody hugged me in my life because they just bow to each other and they don't show this kind of feelings or affect. So
then you meet Norwegian or Iceland people like, no, keep a distance, please.
Right.
There was a joke. They were complaining during the COVID, 1.5 meter distance is a bad thing. There should be when it's canceled. Yeah, exactly. When it was canceled, they said, "Oh, again, we can go to a 3 meter distance back."
Right, and we are just Balkans. We're just so close to each other. Like, yeah, I know.
That's different.
But
I don't know how many times I kissed someone unwillingly during the COVID. Just pulling that this is something cultural.
And when somebody is responding, hey, you should not why is this guy not responding? Oh yeah, it's pandemics. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. So yeah.
Okay. And is there any difference between other parts of Japan, like when you compare to Tokyo? Tokyo is like enormous, 30 million, or how many people are living there?
Yeah, but on the other hand, we are talking about Tokyo. It's not Japan. We have to. People don't really realize that until they are there. Like Tokyo is just Tokyo. It's so different from the rest of Japan, and I have to say that I'm so amazed how everything functions there. But once you are outside of Tokyo, you have completely a different reality. And we are talking also about different kind of cultures and different kind of behaviors. Like if you go to Okinawa, people are much more open. You see that you see there the American part as well. They're very chilled. We are talking, let's meet at 1 and then it's 2 o'clock, no problem, so like very relaxed. Completely different, really completely different. And then you are in Tokyo and it's like a very hectic life. You need to go to train. The train is never late. If it's late, then
suicide of the
Yeah,
Or
sometimes, but
the
on the other
driver
hand,
or conductor?
even if it's something weather related, then once you go out of the train, you will get a paper, and this paper you need to give to your HR in order to say
Oh.
that I've been late because of this thing. It's everything so well regulated, structured, everything perfect. And then yeah, the rest of Japan, the rest of Japan, yeah, it's much more nature, wonderful, like beautiful parts. And then you have Hokkaido when people go skiing, and many
Sorry. What do you
interesting.
have?
Hokkaido
I
is
heard you Al
another.
Qaeda. Sorry, I heard Al Qaeda. Okay.
No,
Just
Hokkaido, yeah.
okay.
No,
Beautiful nature, Al Qaeda.
Hokkaido.
Hokkaido. Okay.
And it's completely different. Like really, it's Tokyo is just Tokyo, hectic, and all
As-
the rest it's quite different. And I was also very surprised because during the Corona time, I used to travel within Japan more
Mhm.
than normal.
Okay.
So that was really impressive, like very local. Some cities are really no one there, and many houses are empty. Like you can see spiders. Like really, it's like wow, this is not
Mhm.
Japan. You would think, because everywhere when you see a documentary or something, you just see mainly Tokyo, and everybody talk about Tokyo,
Or
and
Fuji
but
Mountain
or Fuji
pagodas somewhere, and
Mountain,
it's it.
right?
Yeah.
But nobody talks about the local life. Like, what happens if you just go out of Tokyo? What will you see? And yeah, these are those ghost cities. If you have ever heard about them, like abandoned completely, nobody's living there,
No.
and it feels like a parallel world. It's like, wow, I'm just
Mm.
like 2 hours away, and where am I right now? Completely
Wow.
empty, because all the people basically are going to Tokyo or Okinawa or Nagoya, or those big cities, Osaka, Kyoto, where
Mhm.
all the universities are there and all companies are there. So it's easier to get a job, it's easier to communicate. So but it's another part once you leave these cities, which have this crazy life.
And you mentioned pandemics. How was it when pandemics hit Japan? You were there during the pandemics. How
Yeah,
did
I
you
was
manage?
there.
It was completely closed. How was it for you?
No,
No,
it
it was.
was not. No, I have to say that people there, they do have this really amazing awareness. So nobody should go and say you stay home, because people are so aware that yeah, they need to take care. And taking care, it doesn't mean you need to force them. Everybody were so aware of what was happening. Everybody put a mask. They normally put a mask even when
Mhm.
when Corona was not there. But on top, they were really, really careful. On the time I was teaching as well, so we had everything online. But once this peak passed, that
Mhm.
we just normally went back to work, everybody was putting a mask, taking care, washing hands. But it's so smooth, and you don't
Mhm.
really need to force. People they obey and they trust, and they think that okay, this is a good thing. People they just came out and they say, oh, we recommend you to stay home, please take care of yourself. Nobody said you have to stay home, you don't go out
Mhm.
of home. No, this didn't happen, but people just did that by themselves. So they're so well aware, and they follow rules. And Japanese people, yeah, they follow rules, and they think that if something comes like this,
Mhm.
then they have to react and to protect themselves and their kids and everything. So I think this was not hectic. Then I came here in Germany, and it was wow. I mean, everything
Yeah.
closed, everything except the supermarket, I guess, on the time. Offices were not working, like a disaster, really a
Mhm.
disaster. something like that I didn't see in Japan. Like they have some restrictions on times, like for partying up until 6 a.m. So you could party until 11, I guess, and not until 6. But the restaurants were open. Normal life. Everybody took care, and the cases in Japan was not like in Europe. So it was everything well, very well structured, I have to say. Yeah.
So
I didn't
I see
feel
that.
that.
I see when you mention when Japanese are following the rules so strictly, they're not flexible. It has its pros and cons. In this situation, it was definitely a pro. You don't need the governments, not like only in Germany, but also in the Balkans. People were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, people, follow the rules." Like some kids, please. At one point they're begging. At one point they're just being angry on them and putting like stricter rules. It's really
Yeah.
hard to make them follow the rules. But the Japan, since they're used to it, just okay.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We're gonna fix this and no problem. We just follow this and it will pass.
Right. So
I
even
see.
if you had a case, in these tower buildings where I don't know how many people might be there working, there was a case, then everything was disinfected, and they would say, okay, everyone now should stay 1 week at home. If you have any symptoms, please do not come. Like very smooth, and everyone agreed. Nobody did this drama. I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel that. No.
Yeah.
I was doing sports as well. I think the gym was closed just for 1 month only, because of course it's like you are too close to each other and breathing and sweating. But then after that, it was open with a mask, yes, but open. So yeah, I didn't really realize that it was Corona. Not at all. It was just a normal life, a little bit different, but just a little bit compared to what I had then later on in Germany. Yeah.
I see. And what would you suggest that some things that are really good in Japan could be implemented and adapted in the Balkan environment? Okay, following the rules of the government is good when the government is competent. Sometimes you follow it, it's incompetent, so it can be even worse in the end. But imagine if it's competent following the rules. Okay, but what else could be adopted and implemented in the Balkan region?
We are talking about two different cultures that are so far away from each other. It's so difficult. It's like, you what should I say? You cannot ask your mom not to hug and kiss you 500 times in an hour. This is our mentality. They will keep kissing you because this is the way they show love and they show care. And it's the opposite in Japan. Like, yeah, they cuddle their kids, but it's different. Completely different. And it's really so difficult to give impact or to implement something from Japan so easily. It's, I think, something that I might see as a positive thing. It's maybe to change the school structure. I like what Japan has because it make the students not competitive in a wrong way. They teach the kids, the very young kids, in such a way that in the first years of the school, they need to take care about community. They share the food. As something comes there, they need to clean that. They need to take care about their belongings. They need to know how to behave with people. This kind of manners. I think this is something that definitely I would recommend, or better say implement in our countries. But it's not easy. It's really not easy, because to come in such a high standard where kids 5 years old can go to school by themselves without parents, so then we are talking completely about a different type of security, safeness. So it's not easy to find common things with our country, but I think everything comes from the young generation. Once you have a very healthy young generation, when you teach love and not hate, when you teach, the basic manners, the way that you have to behave, not in school, but in family as well. When you teach values, when you teach how to respect other people's feelings, other people capabilities, then you automatically become a better person and a more aware person of not only the people and family, but also you're surrounded. So I think this is the base. And I like the educational system mainly because they don't teach only subjects, they teach you how to be a good person. And I really like this. And I have been studying also abroad, but I think this is something that I miss in other countries. And I think this is something that we also, not only in Balkans, but also in Europe, we really need this kind of approach. Should not be a no and a yes. It can maybe a polite no, and let people realize that no is just normal. So you don't need to compete to get a yes. So I think this is a very nice way how you can really give much more value to the young generation and young people in our countries. Yeah.
You put it really nicely. I like the segment of them, small kids in elementary schools and kindergartens. They should and they have to clean their schools. I don't know how often
Yes,
they don't have janitors or they have really less number of janitors, but they clean themselves. And this
they,
approach they have later in the World Cup, they clean the stadium after themselves because they're
yes,
taught it's normal for them.
yes, definitely. This is normal. This is standard.
It's
And
easy
we
to
should,
introduce.
right. It's easy to introduce. I still remember in elementary school in Albania, we used to do this.
Oh,
We
really?
used to do. Yes. I used to clean my class every week, and we had groups where we cleaned our class all together, and we used to have activities and bring food at home from home, and we ate all together. And I remember I had a teacher on the time that she made like a list of the things that each of us should have with us, so no fancy things. And I really loved that because we all felt equal. And this is so nice because you cannot differentiate yourself from the rest of the class. It's like you eat whatever is there, and it's nice. We just do it together. And we also had these cultural things, like people from different regions brought food, and we eat together, and parents were invited. Like
That's
this
nice.
was as a community, which honestly nowadays is not existing anymore. Nothing. And the young generation, I feel that they are not so close to each other anymore. They're just like yeah, on their own, playing video games, not taking care about people. I also see that in young generations it's like so difficult to communicate. They lose the interest. You sit with them, and then in 2 minutes they are in their phone, making a pause, not really caring what is happening around. So this is so sad. It's really sad.
But you're reaching out with I'm Global Citizen to break those things and to have more
I
people
hope.
that are different. Yeah.
I hope. Yeah, this is this is my goal. I hope to bring people together, and playing is also important. It's part of life, definitely, but I think communication should also be there, like being humans and looking people on eyes and transmitting emotions. It's so important because I think this is not happening so often.
I would also like to ask a final one to wrap this thing all up. So for the future, based on your experience, based on your being a global citizen yourself, living in Japan, living in Germany, what would you give advice? You already mentioned bits and pieces here and there to upcoming generations and also to adults, how to advise people, young people, to be global citizens, to be intercultural people, to interconnect and to develop themselves, to be the best people they are, as you are giving from your side as an example. What would you give as advice?
As I mentioned before, I mean, the change comes from young generation, and I think my advice would be to look a little bit around rather than a little bit more wider rather than your sleeping room, your school, and so on, and just to make sure that you are part not only of your family, you are part of a community, you are part of a city, of a country, and the change comes from you. And I want to use this part as well to say thank you to all the parents who also applied for their kids actually for this program, because they said, oh, my kid is always alone, he doesn't want to do this and that, he just stay in his PC and nothing happens. So this goes also for their parents who actually took a decision for them. And I would definitely motivate and ask all the other parents to be more proactive with their kids, to find time for their kids, to make sure that their kids are actually not only doing what is good for school, but what is good for life. And the change, as I said, comes from the young generation. So please, let's be good educators, not only in the schools, but also in family.
I'm also reaching out to my parents because I'm grateful how they raised me. Some people are not grateful. I'm really grateful. I could have turned out really bad in terms of which people I had friends around me at some point, but some also friends are really useful of my development. But also we're reaching out to other parents that to give good example to their children, because school can teach them to some extent, but also it comes from their houses, and it's all most important things. People that are taught to hate, they're not raised to actually to some extent, yeah, they're not taught from the streets. Sometimes yes, but it also comes from the house. If you have good manners, good education back at home, it's really hard that some bad people reach out to you. Of course, you have the puberty and stuff. You're really not aware of the things going on. But if parents are consistent and their family members, it can turn out good in the end.
Definitely, yeah. So this goes as a thank you so much to my family as well. I'm very grateful for them as well. So yeah, I cannot be happier than that. Although they didn't allow me to study medicine. Okay, this is the only regret.
Hey, similar thing with my as well. They're like, hey, you're good at this, you should continue this, and I was like, I should listen to myself, but again, it turned out good. I switched the lane at some point. We need to understand our parents. They've been parents for the first time in their life, and they don't know how it was before. We think from our point of view, they should have done this, but at that point, it was the best thing they could do.
Definitely, yeah.
They only meant the best for us, and that's it. I'm not having any grudges. Yeah.
Although I'm third for that.
You're third. So they should know by your point of view.
Well, I am grateful for them to not involve my educational decisions.
Probably they learned from the previous two examples.
So you're the lucky one or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, the parents, they try to do the best for their kids. And I'm sure that in that situation, at least where I was born, it was the most difficult part in Albania. So my parents decided to stay in Albania. And I'm so proud of them. Like, really, they did the best that they could. They worked so hard. And also, you know, I'm this type of girl who used to grow up with her Oma, with her grandmom and grandfather. So yeah, I had a huge love around me and parents who were really working every day to provide me everything that they could. Therefore, thank you.
Thank you to all of the parents also being here, and I hope their children will also say thank you to them at some point in their life. It really means a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to finish this episode with another thank you to you, Lorisa. It was really insightful.
Thank you guys for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it was really, really
likewise.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for taking care of me. And thank you so much for this interview. I hope that it was enjoyable.
It was
And yeah,
definitely.
thank you one more time.
Trust me, we will not be inviting you if we didn't think that you have something to offer to our audience and to us in terms of your initiative, of your NGO, and in terms of your experience of living abroad and having this intercultural awareness. It's definitely worth a while to listen, and hopefully our audience will also enjoy it. We know they will enjoy it, aren't we,
Thank
Onat?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I did enjoy.
And
They will enjoy as well.
of course.
Thank you so
And if
much.
you have some questions, we're going to put links from your side and also links from I'm Global Citizen. And they can also
you.
approach you, as we said, schools, potential sponsors, all the people interested in your NGO can also contribute. And we hope they will in the upcoming near future.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And yeah, this is a good opportunity also for I'm Global Citizen. And since we're talking about that, the very last thank you goes for my co-founders. They are doing an amazing job, and I'm so thankful to be this team. As I said, they are my dream team. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
We also send
We also
love.
thank you to them.
Thank you.
Love and thankfulness. Yeah. Then thank you once more, and up until the next episode. Bye bye.
Yeah, don't forget to
Bye-bye.
like, subscribe, whatever you need to do, please.
Of course. Also, buy me a coffee. There's option to follow us and for a monthly subscription, and everything else, just write to us and follow us on our social media and on our website. Yeah. A little bit of promotion, we always forget this in the end, but thank you for
good.
reminding us. Yeah. Thank you
Thank
once more
you.
and see you. Bye bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.